Hello and welcome to everyone in the virtual classroom to learn one of the biggest topic of management accounting, namely cash flow statement. If you have already learned the fund flow statement with a conceptual clarity, then relatively it would be easy for you to understand and digest this topic. So let us start the discussion of this topic in the context of conceptual knowledge. Before we discuss the meaning of cash flow statement, let us have a little bit discussion of liquidity versus profitability, and which is more important in the context of corporate sector. You know the meaning of liquidity and profitability. Normally, people are very much concerned with the profitability of the business. Everyone would like to verify the profit of a business, of a company, and on the basis of profitability, normally people gives their opinion about that business. Nothing is wrong. That is a well-known criteria, profitability. But let me tell you one word that you might have heard in your study time. Break-even point. This is a buzzword for a corporate sector business. What is the meaning of break-even point? The meaning of break-even point is that it is that level of sales or production where business neither earns any profit nor incurs any losses. So, no profit, no loss situation of a particular level of production or sales. Once company achieves it, it is that point of level of production or sales where company neither earning any profit nor incurs any losses. So in a big business, especially in the corporate sector, target of company is always to achieve the break-even point first. Because normally in a big business, initially for a period of few months and sometimes for few years, profit would not be possible considering the size and the nature of the business. So in that situation, company initially doesn't target the profit or profitability. They have to achieve the break-even point first. Once they achieve the break-even point, only then afterwards the journey of profit or profitability will get started, not before that. What I mean to say, in a big business, in the corporate sector, always the first target is to achieve the break-even point. They think, they dream to achieve the break-even point as early as possible. As I told you, sometimes it may take 1 year and sometimes it may take 2, 3, 4 or even 5 years also. That depends on the nature and the size of the business. It means in the initial period of the business, profit would not be possible to earn because their target is to achieve the break-even point. But to achieve that break-even point, you have to run your business daily. And if you run the business daily for few months, for few years successfully, then you would be able to achieve the break-even point, and then afterwards your journey of profitability will get started. So to run the business on the daily basis for few months, for few years, you need cash that is liquidity, because business of every day runs on the wheels of cash, that is liquidity. So if you are able to run your business for few months, for few years on the base of cash or liquidity, then only afterwards you would be able to achieve the break-even point, and then the journey of profit or profitability will get started. But to reach at that point of break-even point, you need money, you need cash, you need liquidity, because every day you have to run the business, and by that way you have to run the business for maybe few years. तो ऐसे बिजनेस को चलाते रहोगे on the base of your liquidity or the cash, then after few months, after few initial years, you would be able to achieve the break-even point. So in the initial phase of the business, I am talking this in the context of a big business in the corporate sector. If you are able to run your business smoothly on the base of cash or liquidity, then only you would be able to achieve the break-even point, and then afterwards the journey of profitability. तो इनिशियली बहुत कुछ महीनों के लिए, बहुत कुछ सालों के लिए आपको बिजनेस को चलाता रहना पड़ेगा, और ये चलता है कैश पर, लिक्विडिटी पर. So initially liquidity is very important. Once you run the business on the base of your liquidity, then afterwards you will be achieving your break-even point, and then the journey of profitability will get started. So initially liquidity is very important, and then afterwards once you achieve the break-even point, your profit journey will get started, and then afterwards there is no limit as far as your profit capacity or earning capacity is concerned. So initially liquidity is very important, but ultimately profitability is very important, because the entire world is always eager to know your profit, your profitability. Ultimately on the base of profitability only, your business, your capacity will be judged by the external world. And if your profitability is very good, then liquidity won't be a problem for your business, because you are earning very good. So lenders will come at your office to give the money, to lend the money to your business, because you have proved your profitability in the business. So initially liquidity is very important, but ultimately profitability is the most important criteria for any business, क्योंकि आपकी profitability अच्छी रहेगी तो पैसे देने वाले, liquidity देने वाले बिजनेस को lending के रूप में बहुत सारे options available हो जाएंगे. So once again I am repeating, initially liquidity is very important, but ultimately profitability is the most important criteria for the business. Then after this brief discussion of liquidity versus profitability, let us go to discuss the objective and destination of business transactions. What is the objective and destination of business transactions? Just think about it. May I say that objective of a business transaction is to earn profit, but destination of every business transaction is either to bring in, that is inflow of cash, or take out, that is outflow of cash from business and get finished. Once again I am repeating, objectives of business transaction. You know, in a big business, thousands and lakhs of transactions happened in a particular period or year. What is the objectives of all this business transaction? Objectives of business transaction is to earn profit, and that is why you have started the business. You have started the business, you are running the business, you are operating the business. So naturally thousands and lakhs of transactions will take place. Objective of this business transaction is to earn the profit. इसीलिए तो आपने बिजनेस शुरू किया है, बिजनेस को चला रहे हैं, तो बहुत सारे ट्रांजेक्शन्स आप करेंगे with an object to earn the profit. But destination of every business transaction is either to bring in cash, that is cash inflow, or take out of cash, that is called cash outflow from business and get finished. If this is a true statement, then can we say opening balance of cash and bank, whatever it was in the beginning of the year, that is 1st April, add inflow of cash due to business transactions of the year. Thousands and lakhs of transactions would have taken place in the year. Due to those lakhs of transactions, whatever cash inflow came in the business, add it in the opening balance of cash and bank, less outflow of cash due to business transactions of the year. Once again, thousands and lakhs of transactions would have taken place, due to which whatever cash outflow happened, that total cash outflow deducted, that will give you closing balance of cash and bank at the end of the year. So, you can prove your answer by verifying the closing balance of cash and bank at the end of the year given in the balance sheet. So, objective is to earn the profit, but the destination of each and every business transaction is either to bring in कैश, बिजनेस में कैश लाकर फिनिश हो जाना है, या बिजनेस में से कैश आउटफ्लो ले जाकर, कैश ले जाकर, आउटफ्लो ले जाकर फिनिश हो जाना है. और अगर ये होता है पूरे साल, इफ दैट इज द केस और रियलिटी, देन दिस वुड बी द पोजीशन opening balance of cash and bank at the beginning of the year and total cash inflow due to business transactions that took place during the last year added in the opening balance, less total cash outflow due to business transactions of the last year. जो केस ले जाकर business transactions finish हो गए, उनको यहाँ से deduct कर दो. So that will give you the closing balance of cash and bank at the end of the year. This would be the position of the entire picture of opening balance of cash and bank and the closing balance of cash and bank. So if you understand the discussion in the context of objectives and destination of the business transaction, पूरे क्वेश्चन में ये पोजीशन बनेगी ओपनिंग बैलेंस ऑफ कैश एंड बैंक एड टोटल कैश इनफ्लो ड्यू टू बिजनेस ट्रांजैक्शंस ऑफ द ईयर लेस टोटल कैश आउटफ्लो ड्यू टू बिजनेस ट्रांजैक्शंस ऑफ द ईयर इज इक्वल टू क्लोजिंग बैलेंस ऑफ कैश एंड बैंक एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर. नाउ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट? Cash flow statement means a statement which showing receipt or inflow of cash and payment or outflow of cash during the last or previous year, and as a result the closing cash and bank balance at the end of the year is known as cash flow statement. You know, cash is the most liquid asset. Cash and bank balance, the most liquid assets of the business. Business will get start with the cash as well as will get end also with the cash. You need cash on each and every step of the business. Such is the importance of the cash in the business, and that is why we are preparing cash flow statement which shows the receipt or inflow of cash and payment or outflow of cash during the last or previous year. It means it is a historical statement. And as a result, the closing cash and bank balance at the end of the year, जो हमने अभी डिस्कशन किया, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स एंड डेस्टिनेशन ऑफ द बिजनेस ट्रांजेक्शन, ये उसके साथ मैच होता है. एज ए रिजल्ट द क्लोजिंग कैश एंड बैंक बैलेंस एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर is known as a cash flow statement. The statement of cash flow reveals the amount of cash received, that is inflow, and cash paid, that is outflow, due to every transaction of the company or business. The total cash received, inflow, is added into the opening balance of cash and bank, and the total cash paid, that is outflow, deducted from it, which gives the final closing cash and bank balance at the end of the year. So this is the meaning of cash flow statement. Inflow and outflow of cash that took place due to business transactions of the last year, we have to report this inflow and outflow in the cash flow statement, and ultimately it will give the final closing balance of cash and bank at the end of the year. So this was the meaning of cash flow statement. ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, has published accounting standard number 3 for making cash flow statement. As per this standard, inflows and outflow of cash have to be shown under 3 different titles or headings. So we have to study this topic, cash flow statement, as per accounting standard number 3. And you know, companies have to prepare their accounts as per accounting standard. They have to follow the accounting standard. So for the corporate sector, cash flow statement preparation as well as the publication of cash flow statement is mandatory with their final accounts. 3 broad titles as per accounting standard 3 published by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India are: number 1, cash flow from operating activities, that is operating profit. Number 2, cash flow from investing activities, that is purchases or sales of fixed assets, investments, etc. Third, cash flow from financing activities. For example, that is issue of shares and debentures. So these are the 3 broad titles under which we have to show the cash inflow and outflow in the cash flow statement. Once again I am repeating: cash flow from operating activities, cash flow from investing activities, and cash flow from financing activities. Cash balance to be shown in the opening and closing or end balance includes both cash and bank balance and cash equivalence. What is the meaning of cash equivalence? Cash equivalence means very short term, highly liquid investment that are readily convertible into known amount of cash and which are subject to an insignificant risk of changes in value. So 4 characteristics have been given to identify cash equivalence. You know, cash equivalence means cash के बराबर. So you have to apply these 4 characteristics to identify a particular item whether it falls under the category of case equivalence or not. Let me repeat it. Case equivalence means very short term. Number one, short term. Number two, highly liquid investment, highly liquid. Third, that are readily convertible into known amount of cash. Readily convertible into known amount of cash. And the fourth one, which are subject to an insignificant risk of changes in value. मतलब उनकी वैल्यू में बदलाव होने के चांसेस ना के बराबर हो, बहुत कम हो. That is called subject to an insignificant risk of changes in value. उनकी वैल्यू में चेंज होने के चांसेस बहुत कम हो, insignificant हो. So if a particular item satisfies these four characteristics, then it can be said a case equivalence. So here we have to take cash balance, means cash and bank balance, and cash equivalence, whether the opening balance or the closing balance. So cash and bank and cash equivalence. नॉर्मली एट TY लेवल आपको कैश इक्विवेलेंस वाले पॉइंट बहुत कम मिलेंगे या तो नहीं मिलेंगे, बट लेटर ऑन यू हैव टू फेस दिस कैश इक्विवेलेंस ऑल्सो इन योर फर्दर स्टडी. सो लिटिल बिट बेसिक नॉलेज इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर कैश इक्विवेलेंस ऑल्सो. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग, what is the characteristics of cash equivalence, and how to identify a particular item, whether it can be said a case equivalence or not. Apply these four characteristics parameters, and if that item get satisfied in these four parameters, in these four characteristics, then it can be said a case equivalence. And if that is the case, आपको ओपनिंग बैलेंस में कैश एंड बैंक के साथ उनकी बैलेंस को भी लेना है, और लास्ट में क्लोजिंग बैलेंस में भी कैश और बैंक बैलेंस के साथ कैश इक्विवेलेंस की बैलेंस को भी लेनी है. आफ्टर दिस डिस्कशन, नाउ लेट अस स्टार्ट टू डिस्कस द मेथड्स ऑफ प्रिपेयरिंग कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट. There are two methods by which cash flow statement can be prepared. One is direct method, another is indirect method. These two types of methods are applicable only to decide the cash flow generated from operating activities, the most important title or heading. Under the indirect method, cash flow from operating activities is decided by giving necessary adjustments in the net profit as decided or determined by profit and loss account. Once again I am repeating, these two methods are applicable only to decide the cash flow generated from operating activities. At this level, indirect method is in use to decide the cash flow generated from operating activities. So we will be discussing, as well as we will be applying this indirect method only to decide the cash flow generated from operating activities. In your further study, after your graduation, you have to deal with this direct method also. But at this level, we will be studying this topic by applying indirect method only. Indirect method to decide cash flow from operating activities. Under this method, we will use the net profit as decided by the profit and loss account to decide the cash flow generated from operating activities. How? Let us see it. cash flow from operating activities. First of all, what is the meaning of operating activities? Business operation किसको कहते हैं? Your main function of the business for which you carry out the business activity to earn the profit. इसको कहते हैं business operation or operating activities. Suppose, for example, you are manufacturing and selling the furniture, means to manufacture furniture and to sell it in the market 24/7, 365 days. That is called your business operation or operating activities. How much cash flow has been generated from this business operation or operating activities? That we have to decide first. Ideally, maximum cash flow should be generated from your business operation or under the title of operating activities. You ran the business for the last full year. So how much cash flow was generated from this main business operation? That was the most important title or the heading under which we have to decide it, we have to find it out. Let us start. As I told you, ideally maximum cash flow should be generated from this title only. Maximum calculation will be there for this title. So have a total focus on the discussion of this first title. The most important source of cash inflow is one which is generated or produced by operating activities or business operation. It covers or includes two items or two subheadings. A. Cash flow, mean cash profit from business operation, and number 2, that is B. Cash flow generated due to changes in current assets and current liabilities. Under these two subtitles, we have to decide the cash flow generated from operating activities. Once again I am repeating: A. Cash profit from business operation, for which we will use the net profit of profit and loss account. And then second, or B. Cash flow generated due to changes in current assets and current liabilities. Why this second, changes in current assets and current liabilities, should be reported under the first title? Because you ran the business during the last year, you operated the business during the last year, and that is why changes took place in the balance of current assets and current liabilities, and impact came on the cash flow. It means your business operation is responsible for the changes in the balance of current assets and current liabilities. So whatever impact came in the balances of CA and CL, consequently whatever the impact came on the cash flow, that should be reported under the first title, that is cash flow from operating activities. So these are the two subtitles under which we will decide the cash flow from operating activities. Let us take both one by one. A. Once again I am repeating, we are discussing how to decide the cash flow generated from operating activities, the most important heading or title, under which the first part, cash profit from business operation. As per indirect method, we will utilize the net profit of profit and loss account to decide the cash profit from business operation. You know, the net profit earned from business operation, as indicated by profit and loss account, will reveal inflow of cash. But at this level, you know it very well. net profit is equal to cash profit is not going to happen. जितना आपका नेट प्रॉफिट हुआ है उतना ही प्रॉफिट आपको कैश में नहीं मिला होगा. Why? Because some items like depreciation would have been recorded in the profit and loss account by the company. And you know the nature of depreciation. It is a non-cash item. By debiting it to the profit and loss account, company would have reduced the net profit of the year, but the amount of depreciation would not have been paid to anyone. ये पैसे तो बिजनेस में ही रहते हैं, and that is why net profit is equal to cash profit is not going to happen. So how we can convert this net profit into cash profit, which would be the cash flow generated from the business operation. आपका net profit आपके business operation को reflect करता है, but we need cash profit received from the business operation or operating transactions. So how can we convert it? Net profit into cash profit. So certain adjustments will have to be given or made for non-cash and non-operating items like depreciation in the given net profit to arrive for cash profit generated from business operation. Certain adjustments for non-cash and non-operating items like depreciation and other non-cash and non-operating items we will have to give in the given net profit to decide cash profit generated from the business operation. Now recall the fund flow statement. While we were preparing adjusted profit and loss account in that topic, by preparing adjusted profit and loss account, we were deciding adjusted profit, fund profit received only from business operation. And then afterwards, once we complete the adjusted profit and loss account, whichever the adjusted profit we were deciding, that figure we were reporting in the fund flow statement on the sources side as a sources of fund received from business operation. Now same process we will be doing over here also to decide cash profit generated only from business operations transactions. When company prepares the profit and loss account, it does not differentiate the transaction between cash and non-cash, operating and non-operating. Company includes all the transaction because the objective was to decide the net profit. But we need cash profit, that too generated only from business operations transactions. And that is why certain adjustments are necessary to give in the net profit as decided by the company. So let us understand it, how to give this adjustment. As I told you, in the fund flow statement, we were preparing adjusted profit and loss account to decide the fund profit generated from business operation. Over here, there is no adjusted profit and loss account. Instead of that, we will be doing this entire process in the format of cash flow statement itself. So let us verify the format of cash flow statement to apply this process of cash profit generated from business operation. Have a look on the format. See this format. In our practical question, we will have to apply this format. See the first title, cash flow generated from business operation or operating activities. Net profit of the year, profit of the last year, previous year. How to decide it? Difference of the two balances of profit and loss appropriation account from two given balance sheets. You know, in the fund flow statement also, you were being given the two balance sheets. Likewise, in this topic also, you will be given the two balance sheets, one for the last year, another for the current year. So by comparing the two balances of profit and loss appropriation account, very easily you can decide the profit of the current year. Cash flow statement is a historical statement. तो दो बैलेंस शीट दिए जाएंगे, एक सेकेंड लास्ट ईयर and one for the last year, and we have to prepare the cash flow statement for the last year. So just compare the two balances of profit and loss appropriation account from those two given balance sheets and find out the profit or loss of the year and report it over here. Now we have to convert this net profit into cash profit generated only from business operation transactions. It means we have to give certain adjustments for those transactions which by nature either non-cash or non-operating. Recall the process of fund flow statement, adjusted profit and loss account. Same process we are going to apply over here directly in the form of cash flow statement. Over here we are not preparing adjusted profit and loss account, but the process remains the same. See, depreciation on fixed assets. Now we are giving adjustments for non-cash and non-operating items. So depreciation, you know it very well, non-cash item, add back over here in the profit of the year. Loss on sale of fixed assets, it's a non-cash item, it's a non-operating item, add back it in the profit of the year. Debenture discount written off, preliminary expenses written off, share discount written off. You know, these are the fictitious assets, deferred revenue expenditure. We already discussed this type of items in the fund flow statement. You know it very well. The concept of amortization has been applied to write off this type of fictitious assets, deferred revenue expenditure. By nature, it is a non-cash, it is a non-operating. So add back it in the current year's profit once again. Over there in the fund flow statement, you were reporting these items on the plus side, on the left hand side of the adjusted profit and loss account, और ऐसा करके आप इनको इस साल के प्रॉफिट में ऐड करते थे. We are doing the same process over here directly in the form of cash flow statement. Then goodwill, patent, trademark, copyright written off, you know, intangible assets. Over here also, by applying the concept of amortization, a little bit amount has been written off to the profit and loss account by the company. So add back it once again in the current year's profit. Income tax provision, non-cash item, add back it. Dividend, whether interim or final proposed. We already discussed the provisions of the Companies Act related with proposed final dividend and interim dividend. It remains the same. Nature is non-operating, and that is why it should be added back in the current year's profit once again. और जब पेमेंट किया जाएगा तो उनको फिनांसिंग एक्टिविटीज टाइटल के नीचे दिखाया जाएगा, because dividend is related with share capital and the nature of share capital is finance. कैपिटल इश्यू करके कंपनी ने फिनांस जनरेट किया है, dividend is related with share capital, and that is why payment of dividend, whatever it is, would be shown under the financing activities title. So over here, as a non-operating item, add back in the net profit of the year. General reserve transfer, it indicates the appropriation of profit. It is a non-cash item, it is a non-operating item, and that is why should be added back in the current year's profit. So these were the items that we discussed, the nature of which either was the non-cash or non-operating, and we added back these items in the current year's net profit once again to decide the cash profit generated only from business operation. Likewise, if some non-cash or non-operating income recorded in the given profit and loss account, then it should be deducted from the current year's profit, because either it is a non-cash or non-operating. So it should be deducted from the current year's net profit to arrive only for cash profit generated from business operation. Once you complete all this transaction, you will get cash profit before changes in working capital, that is called changes in current assets and current liabilities. So cash profit before changes in current assets and current liabilities. So this was the reporting of the first part. We converted net profit into cash profit generated from business operation, but before changes in working capital, that is current assets and current liabilities. तो जो फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में आप एडजस्टेड प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट बनाकर फंड प्रॉफिट तय करते थे, जो सोर्सेस के रूप में आप फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में दिखाते थे, यही प्रोसेस हमने यहाँ डायरेक्टली कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में कर दी, एंड वी डिसाइडेड कैश प्रॉफिट generated from business operation before changes in working capital, that is changes in current assets and current liabilities. Now second part of this first title, changes in current assets and current liabilities. As I told you earlier, you ran the business during the last year, आपने पिछले साल बिजनेस चलाया, इसलिए CACL में चेंजेस हुए और उनकी इम्पैक्ट जो कैश फ्लो पर आई है वो हमें रिपोर्ट करनी है अब अंडर द फर्स्ट टाइटल कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज. Recall the fund flow statement. Over there you were preparing working capital schedule for changes in the current assets and current liabilities. And the last resultant figure of working capital schedule, whatever it was, you were reporting in the fund flow statement either on application side or on sources side. Over here in the cash flow statement, there is no working capital schedule. तो वहाँ फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में जो आप वर्किंग कैपिटल शेड्यूल बनाते थे और उनका फाइनल फिगर जो भी था आप फंड फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में रिपोर्ट करते थे, यहाँ ये वर्किंग कैपिटल शेड्यूल नहीं है. डायरेक्टली यू हैव टू रिपोर्ट ईच आइटम ऑफ करंट एसेट्स एंड करंट लायबिलिटीज इन द कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट इटसेल्फ अंडर द फर्स्ट टाइटल. जो भी चेंज हुआ CA और CL के कोई भी कंपोनेंट में और उनकी इम्पैक्ट कैश फ्लो पर क्या हुई, ये आप डायरेक्टली कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में रिपोर्टिंग करेंगे अंडर द फर्स्ट टाइटल कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज. So once you have decided the cash profit from business operation by giving the changes of non-cash and non-operating items, now we are going to give the impact of changes in current assets and current liabilities. Before we verify all these items of current assets and current liabilities, let us discuss how to report these changes of current assets and current liabilities. Let us have a little bit detailed conceptual discussion regarding the changes in current assets and current liabilities. Have a look. Title B. Under the first title, cash flow from operating activities, we completed number 1A. We converted net profit into cash profit from business operation. Now we are going to report the second item, the second heading, changes in current assets and current liabilities under the first title. So cash flow generated due to changes in current assets and current liabilities. Current assets first. Current assets with cash flow. Suppose net profit as decided by profit and loss account is rupees 2 lakh. मीन्स आपने नेट प्रॉफिट को कैश प्रॉफिट में बदल दिया, पहला रिपोर्टिंग कंप्लीट कर लिया एंड यू डिसाइडेड प्रॉफिट रुपीज 2 lakh under the cash flow from operating activities. Now you are reporting the second sub-reporting of the changes in current assets and current liabilities. We are discussing current assets relationship with cash flow. Suppose it indicates increases in the balance of debtors. You know, debtors is one of the important components of current assets. You may take any component. Logic remains the same. Opening balance of debtors, suppose was 80,000 and closing balance of debtors was rupees 1,20,000. Now, what would be the net total cash flow after this impact of debtors in the cash flow statement? It would be rupees 1,60,000 as per explanation given over here. How? Let us see. Net profit or cash profit rupees 2 lakh. Opening balance of debtors 80,000. This amount would have been received in the current year. You know, the maximum term of current assets or current liabilities will be 12 months. Current assets और current liabilities की term 12 month ही रहती है. तो नॉर्मली ये पैसे आपको साल में मिल जाते हैं. 80,000 would have been received during the year. ये इस साल के ट्रेडिंग या प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट में रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं होते हैं. So we have added this 80,000 in the cash profit. Now it is 2,80,000. Closing balance at the end of the year 120. Your money is lying with your debtors at the end of the year. जो भी आपने क्रेडिट सेल्स किया था इस साल में, उनमें से अभी 1,20,000 is still lying with your debtors. So your money is lying with your debtors at the end of the year. ये इस साल नहीं मिले हैं, अगले साल मिलेंगे. तो अगले साल के कैश फ्लो में ऐसे ये ऐड होंगे जैसे ये 80,000 ऐड किए हैं. So your money tentatively is lying with your debtors at the end of the year. So cash flow has been decreased by this 1,20,000. Deduct it. That gives net total cash flow 1,60,000. So this was first logical discussion. Second, balance of debtors. Opening was 80,000, closing was 120. It means net and net, the balance of debtors has been increased by rupees 40,000 in the current year. 80,000 versus 1,20,000. Net and net, it has been increased 40,000. What impact came on the cash flow? Initially, it was 2 lakh. And after this transaction, it is 1,60,000. So balance of debtor has been increased by 40,000, 80,000 to 1,20,000. Impact came on the cash flow from 2 lakhs to 1,60,000, decreases by 40,000. तो डेटर्स की बैलेंस बढ़ी इस साल में. नेट इन नेट 80,000 वर्सेस 1,20,000, तो कैश फ्लो 40,000 से कम हो गया. इन द प्रैक्टिकल क्वेश्चन यू हैव टू अप्लाई दिस क्राइटेरिया कि व्हाट change happened in the balance of current asset components. Over here it indicates increases. So cash flow has been decreases by 40,000. So can we say increases in the balance of debtors decreases the cash flow. 80,000 की ओपनिंग बैलेंस एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर हो गई 120. आपके 40,000 नेट एंड नेट ज़्यादा डेटर के पास टेंटेटिवली चले गए हैं. सो आपका कैश फ्लो कम हो गया फ्रॉम 2 lakhs to 1,60,000. इंक्रीजेस इन द बैलेंस ऑफ डेटर्स डिक्रीजेस द कैश फ्लो. Opposite situation. Instead of increases, suppose if it is the decreases in the balance of debtors, current assets. Opening balance is 1,20,000 and closing balance, let us assume 80,000. Now, total cash flow after this transaction would be 2,40,000 as explained over here. Let us see it. Net profit, cash profit, you have already decided it by giving the adjustments for non-cash and non-operating item. Now you are giving the second reporting of changes in current assets and current liabilities. Opening balance 1,20,000. ये पैसे इस साल में मिल ही गए होंगे क्योंकि इनकी मैक्सिमम टर्म ही 12 months रहती है. So due to receipt of this money from the debtors, your cash flow from business operation has been increased. And now it is 3,20,000. Closing balance of debtors 80,000. Your money is lying with your debtors at the end of the year. जो भी क्रेडिट सेल्स किया है इस साल में उनमें से अभी भी 80,000 रुपीज नहीं मिले हैं. इट इज लाइंग विद द डेटर्स. तो ये आपके पैसे आपके डेटर के पास है. योर कैश फ्लो हैज बीन डिक्रीज्ड बाय दैट अमाउंट एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर. सो minus 80,000. That gives net total cash flow rupees 2,40,000. Second method, comparison of balance. Opening balance was 1,20,000, closing balance was 80,000. Net and net during the year it has been decreased by 40,000. What impact came on the cash flow? Earlier it was 2 lakh, now it is 2,40,000. It means cash flow has been increased by rupees 40,000. Why it has happened? Because balance of debtors, balance of one of the component of the current asset has been decreased by rupees 40,000 in the current year. 120 was the opening balance versus closing balance 80. So it has been decreased by rupees 40,000. Cash flow has been increased by 40,000. साल की शुरुआत में आपको लेने थे 1,20,000. एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर लेने हैं सिर्फ 80,000. मतलब 40,000 से ये बैलेंस कम हुई, आपको इतने पैसे मिल गए. सो योर कैश फ्लो हैज बीन इंक्रीज्ड बाय रुपीज 40,000. सो कैन वी से decreases in the balance of debtors, that is current assets, increases the cash flow. Over here on the right hand side, it was increases in the balance of debtors, decreases the cash flow. Over here, decreases in the balance of debtors, increases the cash flow. So ultimately, there is a negative or inverse relationship between current assets and cash flow. It applies to each and every component of the current assets given in the question. करंट एसेट्स के जितने भी कंपोनेंट्स रहेंगे उन पर ये रिलेशनशिप सेम रहेगी. नेगेटिव और इनवर्स रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन करंट एसेट्स एंड कैश फ्लो. इफ इट इंडिकेट्स इंक्रीजेस इन द बैलेंस इन द करंट ईयर, ओपनिंग वर्सेस क्लोजिंग, then it decreases the cash flow. If it indicates decreases in the balance of any components of the current assets, it will increases the cash flow. So it is a negative relationship between cash flow and current assets. Now current liabilities. Have a look. Second part of this discussion. Cash flow generated due to changes in current assets and current liabilities. We already discussed the current assets with cash flow. Now current liabilities with cash flow. Suppose net profit as decided by profit and loss account rupees 2 lakh, you converted into cash profit and now it is 2 lakh. Current liabilities, let us take one of the big component, namely creditors. Increases in the balance of creditors. Let us assume opening balance was 60,000 and closing balance was 1 lakh rupees. Closing balance was 1 lakh rupees. So now total cash flow after this transaction would be rupees 2 lakh 40,000. How? Let us say it. Net profit, cash profit, rupees 2 lakh. Opening balance of creditors. As I told you, the maximum term of CAs or CL always would be 12 months. This balance would have been paid in the current year, 60,000. Now cash flow is 1 lakh 40,000. Closing balance of creditors at the end of the year is rupees 1 lakh. We are using this money of our suppliers in the form of credit purchases. This will be paid in the next year. और जब अगले साल इनका पेमेंट होगा तो ऐसे ही जैसे यहाँ 60,000 डिडक्ट किया है, ऐसे ही अगले साल के कैश फ्लो में ये 1 लाख को डिडक्ट कर दिया जाएगा. So at the end of the year, balance of creditors rupees 1 lakh lying with us. We are using this money of our suppliers, and by that way we have increased our cash flow. So 2 lakh 40,000. Second method or logic, comparison of two balances. Opening balance was 60,000, closing balance was 1 lakh. Net and net during the year, balance of creditors has been increased by rupees 40,000. Opening was 60,000, closing was 1 lakh. Net and net it has been increased by rupees 40,000. तो क्रेडिटर्स की बैलेंस बढ़ी, सीएल के कंपोनेंट्स की बैलेंस बढ़ी. What impact came on the cash flow? Before this transaction it was 2 lakh. After this transaction it is 2 lakh 40,000. So increases in the balance of creditors increases the cash flow. 60,000 की ओपनिंग बैलेंस साल के अंत में हो गई 1 लाख की, तो कैश फ्लो भी बढ़ गया 40,000 से. In the beginning of the year, we were using 60,000 of our creditors, suppliers. At the end of the year, we are using 1 lakh of our suppliers or creditors. 40,000 has been increased. So obviously, your cash flow from business operation has also been increased by rupees 40,000. Earlier, it was 2 lakh and now it is 2 lakh 40,000. So increases in the balance of creditors or current liabilities increases the cash flow. Let us change the balance. Decreases in the balance of creditors. Opening balance of creditors is 1 lakh and closing balance of creditors was 60,000. Now net cash flow would be 1 lakh 60,000. How? Let us see it. Net profit, cash profit, we already decided and we assumed it rupees 2 lakh. Opening balance of creditors, ये पैसे हमने इस साल में दे दिए होंगे क्योंकि मैक्सिमम टर्म रहती है 12 months. So we paid 1 lakh. Now cash flow has been decreased only rupees 1 lakh. Closing balance of creditors at the end of the year, we are using the money of our suppliers at the end of the year. So indirectly we got cash flow from our suppliers. So add it, that gives the net total cash flow rupees 1 lakh 60,000. Second, comparison of two balances. Opening balance was 1 lakh, closing balance is 60,000. So during the year, the balance of creditors has been decreased by rupees 40,000. Opening balance was 1 lakh, closing balance is 60,000. From 1 lakh to 60,000, it indicates decreases by 40,000. What impact came on the cash flow? Earlier it was 2 lakh. आफ्टर दिस ट्रांजेक्शन इट इज़ 1,60,000। तो 1 लाख की बैलेंस 60,000 हो गई, मतलब आपने 40,000 का पेमेंट कर दिया। सो ऑब्वियसली योर फाइनल कैश फ्लो इज गोइंग टू डिक्रीज बाय ₹40,000। जो पहले 2 लाख था अब वो है 1,60,000। सो डिक्रीजेस in the balance of creditors, that is current liabilities, decreases the cash flow. Over here on the left hand side it was increases in the balance of creditors increases the cash flow. On the right hand side, decreases in the balance of creditors decreases the cash flow. So there is a positive or direct relationship between current liabilities and cash flow. ये करंट लाइबिलिटीज के कोई भी कंपोनेंट्स पर अप्लाई होगी रिलेशनशिप, पॉजिटिव और डायरेक्ट रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन करंट एसेट्स एंड कैश फ्लो. So this was a logical discussion, conceptual discussion to decide the impact of cash flow generated due to changes in current assets and current liabilities. Now let us apply in the format of cash flow statement. Have a look. Changes in working capital, that is CA and CL, increases or decreases in debtors, increases decreases in stock or bills receivable, number of items of current assets, there might be more than these three also in a given practical question. Apply the relationship CA with cash flow, you know, negative relationship, and then CL with cash flow, positive relationship. One by one, very quickly you have to apply it to complete this particular reporting as per our discussion that just we completed for the changes in current assets and current liabilities. Once you complete this reporting of changes in working capital, you will get cash flow from operating activities. The final answer of this title, not final, अभी एक और स्टेप देना है. Last reporting would be for income tax payment. This would be the last and separate reporting under the first title. So income tax paid, whatever it is, you have to report it as a last and separate item under the title of cash flow from operating activities. Tax, income tax payment is the outcome of profit, and profit you have earned because you have operated the business during the last year. So there is a direct relationship of income tax payment with business operation, and that is why it should be reported under the first title but as a last and separate item. Now your final answer is ready. Net cash flow from operating activities A, क्योंकि इनका आगे भी यूज करना है, so I have highlighted with A once again answer of net cash flow from operating activities. Once you complete this reporting, then title B and C, nothing is there. It's very simple, it's very easy. Title B, cash flow generated from investment or investing activities. Purchases of fixed assets, sales of fixed assets, purchases of investment, sales of investment. You know, if you purchase, it will indicate cash outflow, so minus. If you will sell the fixed assets, it will generate cash flow, so plus. Plus and minus both sign you have to use. अगर कैश इनफ्लो होता है तो आप प्लस साइन यूज करेंगे, और अगर कैश आउटफ्लो होता है तो आप माइनस साइन यूज करेंगे. देखिए यहाँ भी चेंजेस इन करंट एसेट्स एंड करंट लायबिलिटीज में दोनों दिए गई थी, प्लस एंड माइनस साइमल्टेनियसली. तो अगर कैश इनफ्लो होता है, देखिए यहाँ पर, तो प्लस साइन यूज करनी है, और अगर कैश आउटफ्लो होता है तो माइनस साइन यूज करनी है. साइमल्टेनियस रिपोर्टिंग फॉर इनफ्लो as well as outflow. Once again, investing activities, dividend and interest received, you know the nature. अगर आपने कहीं इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है तो डिविडेंड या इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा. नेचर इज रिलेटेड विथ इन्वेस्टमेंट, सो दैट शुड बी रिपोर्टेड ओवर हियर अंडर दिस टाइटल. और अगर कंपनी ने इनको प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में क्रेडिट किया है तो वहां से आप निकाल देंगे, क्योंकि इनको यहां रिपोर्ट करना है अंडर द इन्वेस्टिंग एक्टिविटीज टाइटल. वी ऑलरेडी डिस्कस दोज ट्रांजेक्शन अंडर द फर्स्ट टाइटल. लोन टेकन और गिवन फ्रॉम और टू सब्सिडियरी कंपनी. लोन ली है तो कैश इनफ्लो होगा, अगर लोन दी है तो कैश आउटफ्लो होगा. सो दिस वेर some of the transactions related with investing or investing activities. Very few transactions would be there in the practical question related with this B title. Then the total of this title B, net cash flow from investing activities. B आगे इनका दोबारा यूज करना है. Whatever the figure is there, put it over here. Cash flow generated from financial activities or financing activities. These are related with share capital, loan, borrowing, etc. Some of the transactions, redemption of redeemable preference share capital, RPS redemption, ये fund flow में भी था, यहाँ भी मिलेगा. It indicates cash outflow minus buyback of equity share, पैसे आप देंगे, minus issue of equity share, issue of preference share, issue of debenture. You generated cash, you bring cash into the business, so it indicates cash inflow plus plus plus. Redemption of debenture, it indicates payment minus payment of dividend, whether interim or final proposed dividend of the last year, indicates cash payment. इनको हमने पहले टाइटल में एड बैक कर दिया था क्योंकि नेचर नॉन ऑपरेटिंग का था. अब पेमेंट हुआ है तो इट शुड बी रिपोर्टेड अंडर दिस टाइटल बिकॉज डिविडेंड इज रिलेटेड विद शेयर कैपिटल, सो नेचर इज फाइनेंस. इट इंडिकेट्स पेमेंट माइनस पेमेंट ऑफ लीज लायबिलिटीज माइनस. द लीज लायबिलिटी, वी ऑलरेडी टुक वन क्वेश्चन related with lease in the fund flow statement, so you know it very well. Total net cash flow from financing activities, C, whatever it is. Now final position. During the last year you ran the business, how much cash flow you have generated? So total net cash flow of a business or increases or decreases in the cash flow during the last year. How to decide it? A plus B plus C. जो तीन टाइटल के नीचे आपने तय किया था कैश फ्लो. नंबर ए, कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज, दिस वन. तो सबसे बड़ा कैलकुलेशन आपने दिया था ए. देन बी, cash flow generated from investing activities, B, and this one cash flow generated from financing activities, C. अब A, B और C तीनों का टोटल करना है. That will give the final answer, total net cash flow of business or increases or decreases in cash flow. जो भी होगा प्लस माइनस ये मिलेगा यहाँ पर. एड ओपनिंग बैलेंस ऑफ कैश एंड बैंक, इनको हमने चेंजेस इन CA/CL के नीचे रिपोर्टिंग नहीं किया है, वहाँ नहीं करना है. इनको लास्ट में हम रिपोर्ट करेंगे फाइनल जवाब को टैली करने के लिए. तो कैश बैलेंस, बैंक बैलेंस को जब वर्किंग कैपिटल आप रिपोर्ट करें चेंजेस इन CA/CL, तो वहाँ कैश और बैंक बैलेंस को हम नहीं लेंगे. लास्ट में इनको हम यहाँ रिपोर्ट करेंगे. Add opening balance of cash and bank, that will give you the final answer of closing balance of cash and bank at the end of the year. तो जैसे शुरुआत में हमने डिस्कशन करी थी ऑब्जेक्टिव एंड डेस्टिनेशन. डेस्टिनेशन क्या था? या तो कैश इनफ्लो बिजनेस में लाकर फिनिश हो जाना है, या कैश आउटफ्लो ले जाकर फिनिश हो जाना है. एंड इफ दैट वाज द पोजीशन, तो क्या बनती थी वो पोजीशन वहां पर? देखिए दोबारा एक बार, ये जो हमने डिस्कशन करी थी, ऑब्जेक्टिव वर्सेस डेस्टिनेशन, opening balance of cash in bank at the beginning of the year, add total cash inflow due to business transactions of the year less total cash outflow due to business transactions of the year. तो at the end of the year closing balance of cash in bank होनी चाहिए, because the destination of the business transaction was very clear as per our discussion. तो ये यहाँ लास्ट में आपकी क्लोजिंग बैलेंस ऑफ कैश एंड बैंक टैली हो जाएगी. आपका जवाब ये बैलेंस शीट में दी गई क्लोजिंग बैलेंस ऑफ कैश एंड बैंक के साथ कंफर्म होगी, टैली होगी. सो बाय दिस वे you have to prepare the cash flow statement. We took the detailed discussion. Now let me show some transactions of investing and financing activities. Cash flow from investing activities: purchases or sales of fixed assets, investment, loan given to subsidiary company, interest, dividend received, etc. are some of the examples of investing activities transaction. While financing activities: equity preference share capital issued, buyback of equity shares, redemption of RPS, debenture issued or debentures redeemed, payment of dividend, etc. are some of the examples of financing activities transactions. So under these three broad titles you have to prepare the cash flow statement. A. Cash flow from operating activities, B. Cash flow from investing activities, and C. Cash flow from financing activities. Let me hope that your conceptual clarity, your basic funda would be very clear after this detailed discussion. If you have any doubt, you may rewatch this video once again for a better clarity of this topic, because practical questions would be based on your conceptual clarity. So if necessary, if required, have a relook, have a rewatch of this video lecture to have a total conceptual clarity of this topic. Thank you very much for your peaceful listening.